Hi guys, short video here about this XTAR 3500 milliamps A-piece set of 1.5 volts ultra lithium batteries. I mean, they are not rechargeable batteries, they are one-way batteries. For some devices which are not using very high power, it totally makes sense, the one-way instead of the rechargeable ones. And some of the devices, they require lithium batteries, or at least they work much better, longer, more stable with lithium batteries because they keep the high 1.5 voltage for much longer time compared to other type of batteries, for example alkaline batteries. And in this 8-piece set we get 2 times 4 batteries. That's really good, especially if you're not using all of them at the same time. And so in this video I'm going to test them regarding voltage, capacity and size. By the way, I got them for free from the manufacturer, but it's still my honest opinion. I would never claim something which is not true. And of course we also want to check the size. So especially when you want to use that in smaller devices, some small devices, they have also small battery compartments. In particular, I know 2 devices which are having super small battery compartments. That's for example the Blink surveillance camera. It's very famous for having a small battery compartment, and then it's sometimes difficult to fit such batteries inside because some of the manufacturers are, I wouldn't call it cheating, but definitely maxing out the size to get a little bit more power in them. So let's see how this works here. So let's push that here into the Xbox 360 controller, which even has a smaller battery compartment compared to the one of the Blink or Blink XT. So pushing this here inside, yeah, it works really good. You can see how easy I can feed. This has just a little bit of resistance, but definitely not a lot. Let's see if you can just shake it out. Yeah, definitely no problem. So with a lot of batteries that's not possible, and so I can guarantee when they are fitting here, they will fit in 99% of all other devices, even including the Blink camera or other surveillance cameras. We can see that, for example, here, that's a modern Xbox controller, and there's a little bit more space here. Definitely no problem inserting, take them out. And so let's check also a little bit the voltage. As long as we are not using power, it shows 1.64 volts, which is not uncommon, definitely. And so we start using a little bit power, 1 amp here. And of course that drops the voltage quite a bit because this is unusual. I just want to see how much is possible, maybe a little bit unfair for such a battery, but some people just want to see how much we can get out. You can see, yeah, voltage drops quite a bit when we are using like 3 or 4 amps, which is a little bit crazy. So the maximum useful, I would say, is maybe 2 amps, where we still have around 1 volts. You can see pretty close to 2 amps and at around 0.9 volts, sometimes even going back to 1 volt. So that's definitely not bad. Maybe another test here, something in between, but I want to see how much we can pull to stay at around 1.2 volts. Can see that's 0.8 amps. How much can we pull to stay really above 1 volt? Yeah, that's in this area, I would say around 1.2 amps. So that would definitely be acceptable for most devices. But of course, some of the most important information is the capacity, and capacity at different usage, or how much you're pulling out of this battery. And of course you also want to know how the voltage is holding up. And so I've started first with a rather low consumption, around 0.1 amps, and so you can see it started at around 1.5 volts. Here you can see the accumulated amps, and so I go a little bit forward. Here you can see, of course, the voltage has been dropping over time, but of course everything above 1.2 is still very good, where we can expect most devices still working. And especially here during this time, it has been holding up like a champ, almost not dropping the voltage a bit, maybe a little bit hard to see on the side, but we are already at 2.3 ampere hours, and so we are going along the timeline trying to find the moment where we hit the 1.2 volts, which is usually critical for first like sensitive devices. And so I would say here we have it, and it was at a whopping 3290 milliamps, which is way above what we usually can expect from premium brands like Energizer and Duracell. They reached the 1.2 volts already after about 2800 milliamps. Of course, also measured at this amp, but let's go a little bit further here. Now finally we have reached a little bit below 1 volts, but we are already at 3790 milliamps. Of course, that's a deep discharge, but still a lot of devices would work like that. And the last step then, when we went below 0.8 volts, but we were almost at 4000 milliampere hours. Yeah, absolutely amazing. And so regarding all these three measurements, the XTAR batteries have exceeded the capacity of the Duracell and Energizer by far. Maybe also interesting for you how the battery is holding up at moderate drain or high drain. Here I have a setup with moderate drain. You can see as long as I'm not using the power, of course the voltage is higher. That's normal. But as soon as we start with moderate drain 0.5 amps, then the voltage drops pretty soon to just a little bit above 1.2. But after that it stays really nicely here in this range, where definitely most of the devices wouldn't have a problem with that. Just every now and then going lower a little bit. Yeah, I think here it dropped for the first time below 1.2 volts, but here we are already at 2890 milliamps and we are pulling 0.5 amps, which is definitely a lot. And you can see we can keep going already at 3250. Now of course pretty much depletion 3400, also with moderate drain. And now the last test with high drain in detail. So I've increased to 1 amp and you can see the voltage drops already right at the beginning to 1.2 volts, but stays then for pretty long time, sometimes slightly below 1.2, but I would say still okay for most of the devices as long as we are above 1 volt and then going strong. Yeah, I think here for the first time dropping below 1 volt, around 2800 milliamps. So this is absolutely phenomenal, even at high drain, but especially the result at low drain is absolutely phenomenal, as it has been exceeding the top brands by far. And even at medium or high drain we are top notch here with these batteries. So I would say why to buy extra for premium brands when we have the top result here from these batteries here. Yeah, the XTAR definitely delivering extra power. No need to look for something else. So I haven't found any problem at all. Everything working perfectly. Voltage, capacity, size, everything top notch, even exceeding the top brands in most aspects. And so if you're interested, I'll put down the link to the Amazon listing down into the description so you can check it out and order a pack or 2 or 3 for you if you like. And I hope I've been able to help you a little bit with this video. If you have any questions or comments or want to share your own experience with these batteries, then just let us know down in the feedback area. I'm always happy to talk about these things, and if you liked the video, give me a thumbs up, subscribe my channel. Thanks for watching, see you next time.